So this presentation will take you through the CitySCAPE stack as it's being deployed within the CitySCAPE project. The CitySCAPE stack contains several components designed to accommodate several user profiles. The purpose is to supervise the CPUS system, representing a heterogeneous transport system containing equipment ranging from mobile phones to autonomous vehicles, and dynamically assess the risks associated with it. The IDS IPS is a network component analyzing the exchange between equipment, searching for known and unknown patterns of attacks. The SIEM receives data from all equipment and tries to extract from this data the signals of a cyber attack. The CTIP is a database of attackers' techniques and tools continuously enriched with external content to ensure defenders have access to the latest trends and information. The CSERP is an intuitive, user-friendly tool used to share and store information during an incident response. The RITA component is used by a security officer to assess dynamically the global risk level of the systems under supervision. The FIMCA components receive data from RITA to help the security officer evaluate financial risks and impacts associated with all the systems under supervision. The CTIP is a component designed to store and exchange indicators of compromise. These indicators are traces left by attackers that can be used to identify, detect, and block attacks. This component has the capability to enrich its content through automated means during an analyst investigation on an adversarial infrastructure. The CSERP is a component designed to accelerate and facilitate investigations during an incident response. When a true attack occurs, an incident responder has to investigate, store relevant data and investigation results, and share information with technical and non-technical people. Through its intuitive web interface, CSERP provides assistance to the incident responder. The SIEM is a component responsible for collecting and analyzing data coming from heterogeneous sources. It collects logs and alerts, correlates them, and generates incidents that are handled by a SOC analyst. Detection capabilities rely on indicators of compromise search provided by CTIP or detection rules tailored to the system under supervision. The Intrusion Detection System Engine, IDS, as you can see on the left in red, monitors and analyzes the CPAS network traffic. It detects threats based on predefined signatures rules and tries to identify anomalies in network traffic captures using AI techniques. The engine is integrated with the CPAS SIEM. It forwards alerts which the SIEM correlates with other types of data. The FIMCA, as you can see in turquoise, is an economic impact analysis tool with functionality of a decision support tool. In fact, it guides the user to identify and choose the optimal solutions to reduce the risks of damage related to the threats considered in CitySCAPE, comparing several configurations with each other to identify the most suitable for the user's needs. The RITA engine, which is shown in blue, is an impact and risk assessment suite implementing the CitySCAPE Collaborative Multimodal Transportation Chain Risk Assessment, MTCRA methodology for evaluating the cybersecurity risks in multimodal transportation ecosystem, thus promoting a holistic security management and risk assessment framework. RITA calculates the individual and cumulative risk levels which will be used for, firstly, timely identification and warning on vulnerabilities and attack entry points, and secondly, selecting and configuring the required countermeasures. In fact, the outcome of the risk and impact assessment process will be exploited by FIMCA in order to suggest new security configurations. The CPAS, as you can see in the white and black cloud, is the communication platform as a service. It is a central data collector that is used to collect and store the diverse feeds of transportation data. Within the context of the Tallinn urban mobility environment, this includes the network logs of the autonomous vehicle ISE Auto and smart infrastructure such as an intelligent roadside unit. Event logs contain the vehicular data, which includes the real-time telemetry of the vehicle status and data from applications. This CPaaS interconnects the CitySCAPE tool set and is used by tools such as the IDS and IPS to detect cyber events. An interactive web client interface enabling CitySCAPE user to firstly manage assets, including applicable threats, vulnerabilities, and controls. B, define the asset groups that make up the system architecture, and C, it sets the threat likelihood and vulnerability. D, it sets the security objective of the asset group. Representational state transfer application programming interface, REST API, enabling components to communicate with Rita in order to A, to insert new threats, vulnerabilities, and countermeasures into the risk analysis, update the relations of a given threat, access the basic assets and their exposure to threats, access for each composite asset the list of basic assets is composed of, their relationships, as well as the threats for each basic asset, the threat probability and associated countermeasures, and access the core business process of the transport company and how these are supported by composite assets, and access the list of executed risk assessments and their reports. It is available in what is referred to as the API Explorer application based on the Open API initiative. The Rita receives context information from SIEM through its API. An analyst identifying a threat or an incident can launch a command to update the risk analysis. During an investigation, when an incident responder identifies a pattern and stores it inside the CSERP, this pattern is automatically searched inside CTIP through its dedicated API to enrich the investigation. During an investigation, when a SOC analyst identifies what seems to be a real attack in progress, he can launch a command for the SIEM to create a case for incident responder inside CSERP through the dedicated API. The CTIP can receive external data through its connectors. The SIEM receives logs in syslog format from heterogeneous equipment. It can pass this data and translate it into its own data model to correlate and try to identify attack patterns. Logs to the SIEM are forwarded from the CPaaS. This enables the SIEM to understand the patterns and develop rules to flag anomalies. The IDS IPS engine is deployed in one CPaaS machine, analyzing the network traffic to, from, and mirrored traffic logs. IDS IPS are installed on the CPaaS to provide a real-time network monitoring and detection of cyber events. The Talend pilot for CitySCAPE involved integrating a diverse array of cyber incident response toolsets developed for transportation with the Talend Intelligent Transportation Infrastructure. Through a series of cyber threat use cases, the CitySCAPE toolset was demonstrated to be able to facilitate cyber incident response in transportation environments for the detection and response to cyber threats. These threat use cases were conducted in cooperation with CERT partners and were able to validate their usability for transportation operators. The Genoa pilot use case aimed mainly at analyzing and enforcing the security of mobile application provided to passengers. This mobile application has several functionalities that range from getting information about time schedules and real-time transits to ticket purchase. Starting from this mobile application and the possible attacks that can be made on it, the analysis has been focused on all the server-side components that provides all the app functionalities and a complete risk analysis for each of them, and then an enforcement of the current available security solutions by deploying the CitySCAPE techniques and tools. The Genoa pilot lasted 4 months, starting in November 2022 and ended in February 2023. Activities have involved students, citizens, local institutions, and stakeholders, and 5 testing scenarios have been performed. In this way, a complete assessment of the CitySCAPE platform applied to the Genoese transportation network infrastructure have been carried out, giving several interesting outputs and outcomes for the project partners.